Hello and thank you for watching. I'm going to try to show you how to make some fake wood today. Now, when I first started crafting with the popsicle sticks, I immediately realized that I was going through a lot of them. You can, of course, save a ton of money by buying them in bulk, but I still didn't want to waste them on flooring. My first thought was to cut up some cardboard, but it felt cheap, and I didn't like the corrugated edges. So I came up with the idea to get thinner cardboard and glue multiple pieces together. And my first experiment was with some paint cards, which are free at any hardware store or retail outlet that sells paint. And I picked up a bunch of them, and I just started gluing. And what happened was I ended up with this very hard, very thin, very hard piece of, for lack of a better term, wood. Now, some nice things about, now this particular one, I had to use 8 layers because these cards are not that thick. And I wanted it to be at least as thick as, if you can see there, a popsicle stick. It's almost the same thickness. It's also fairly heavy considering, and you can hear it. It's hard. It's hard. I love this piece. I haven't done anything else with it except test some paint colors on the back. And so I've been using this method now since I did this. The nice thing about this is it can be trimmed, it can be cut, it can be sanded. You can also do this in different shapes. Now here I've cut out very quickly a star and a heart. Now there are only 2 layers, but they're still by themselves nice and thick and heavy, and this would be nice for, you know, with the holidays coming up. You can make some cute decorations, and maybe another video I'll show you how to do that. I also made this pog, which is 4 layers. Remember pogs? Are they still around? I don't know. But look how thick. This is even a little bit thicker than the popsicle stick. If you can see that, it's a little bit thicker. This would make a cute center for some fake lollipops, or who knows, do whatever you want with it. Okay, now if you've been following along, I started a project in my last video. I was cutting sticks, and I'm cutting those sticks at 97 millimeters. So what I'm going to need is a base that's probably close to 97 millimeters, but I rounded up to 100 because you can always make things smaller. You cannot make things bigger once they're made. So what I did was I cut out 100 millimeters by 100 millimeters, and then I glued them face to face, printed side to printed side, because the printed sides are slippery and glue will, you know, it will move. It'll take a little bit longer to dry on those. So get rid of this. You want to get rid of the shiny sides as soon as possible. Unless you plan to paint later, then you may actually want a smoother surface. But if you have the printed side here showing, you're going to need more paint to cover that. Now, I did try, like I showed you with this. This was 1 layer of black spray paint, which really hid everything. Like, you can't see anything on that. And that is the shiny side. I can tell the difference because you have your shiny side, and then you have this rough side, which was this side. So this would need at least 1 more layer of paint to smooth it out like this one. And that's something that we may do in the future. But meanwhile, I want this color wood here. If you see, I've mixed and matched some wood because my pieces were not big enough to get, this particular piece was not big enough to get as many layers as I needed. So I used the lighter wood, put that on the inside, put the outside wood like this, and then I can make decisions later. Don't have to make these decisions now. You're going to want to have some water handy, and obviously you're going to want to have some glue. The first thing you're going to want to do is cut out your piece. Now I'm not going to bore you, make you watch me cut cardboard. Just know that you need to cut out a nice piece, and your first nice piece has to be as exact as possible. Your second piece, not so much. Now we are really ready to start gluing. Now you can really use any glue that you want. Again, as I mentioned briefly in the other video, you can just basically use your Elmer's school glue. You can use your Elmer's glue all. I have glue all. I also have the Aleene's Tacky and the Aleene's Clear Gel, which all work. All of these are going to work for you. But you want to keep in mind that if you're just using your basic school glue, it's going to take a long time to dry. So you're going to want to let it set for literally hours before you can trim it. Today I'm going to use the Aleene's Tacky Gel because it sets fairly quickly. I don't need these scissors because my pieces are already cut. I don't need this ruler quite yet, but I will. And what we're going to do is we're going to get our glue, and with the Aleene's Tacky Glue, it does start to dry fairly quickly, especially on paper, because the paper will suck the moisture right out of it. So we're going to put a decent amount, some thin layer. I probably need to cut the hole bigger, and this is a new bottle, so. Alright, then we're going to get our paintbrush, and we're going to brush out to the edges. You really want to get a thin layer, and you really want to get those edges. Them edges are so important. Go around. And if you see it start to dry, you'll be able to tell it's drying because it will be looking like the cardboard. It won't be shiny. It'll just look like cardboard. But you want to just a very thin layer. Spread it out as quickly as possible before it has time to dry. So simple. It's really so simple. Get those corners. It's very, very, very simple. And then we can just really throw this down anywhere. You can line up the edges if you like. Try to get as close to the edge as possible without actually touching the edge because I don't trust my cuts to be very straight. And we're just going to smooth that down with our hands really very quickly. And then we're going to take our ruler, and do not use the metal side, it will tear up your cardboard. Use the wooden side, and we're going to start at one corner, and we're going to go corner to corner, and you may see glue pop out on the edges. Just want to smooth, 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 turn, smooth. And check your edges. They all look very flat. They all look very flat to me. Looks very nice. I do see a tiny bit of white glue. Just leave it. Don't touch it. Just leave it. Now, if you have used the Elmer's glue, the school glue, you're going to want to let that set for at least an hour. I wouldn't try to mess with it before an hour. Or what you may have happen is it'll slide, and then you've cut wrong. So now if you use the Elmer's glue all, that will set a little bit quickly, but I still like to let it set for an hour or so. Even with the Aleene's Clear Gel, which I also love, it tacks very quickly. I won't lie to you, it tacks very quickly, but it also gives you lots of time to change your mind and move pieces around. We don't want that, which is why I like the Aleene's original tacky glue, because it tends to stick almost immediately. Now you could test if it's ready. Just try to slide it. If it slides at all, it is not ready to be worked with. As you can see, this Aleene's very, very quickly becomes set and workable. That is not going to move. Better not move. I'll be upset if it moves. Okay, so now you can also determine by that little bit of glue that came out. If you can still see white in that little bit of glue, it's probably not dry because Aleene's dries clear. And okay, but this seems to be completely workable. I'm going to pause for a minute. I'll be right back. Okay, one thing I forgot to mention real quick, you want to take your brush and drop it in your water. It's going to keep your bristles from getting hard. Now that particular brush I only use for glue, so it kind of sits in the water all the time. When I take it out of the water, I dry it off on a paper towel and make sure it's completely dry before I use it, but then it always just goes right back in the water and I leave it sit there because it's an old brush. I don't care. So, okay, now I'm going to cap my glue because I've made that mistake before and had stuff dry out. I'm going to move my ruler out of the way, and I'm going to get my scissors. I'm going to cut. Very simply, just going to cut as close to that edge as I possibly can. I like to go all the way across. I have room to work. I don't want to bend this in any way if I can avoid it. Don't worry, you don't have to be straight cuts. You see I'm doing this very quickly. I'm just feeling a little bit sliding. Tiny bit, tiniest bit, just the tiniest bit of sliding. That means it's not quite ready, but that's okay. We're going to go ahead and clip off this edge. Now that I'm going to let dry. I have an interesting pattern here because I use multiple types of cardboard too. If you can see that, it's darker on the edges and lighter in the middle, which actually really does match popsicle sticks. They're often darker in the middle. Anyway, now this is pretty good, and at this point I would normally stick this in a book. There's no glue. Make sure there's no glue on your edges at all. And then I would get a book and I would sit it in a book and I would leave it set probably for a night. Now, you're going to see after it dries and after it sits, sometimes you can look and you'll see the colors from your box. We're going to recycle this. It's going to get recycled or reused in my stars and my hearts. But you will be able to see that the edge does not quite meet up. And that's when you want to get your emery board. And you're literally just going to sand that down. This is so easy to work with. It's coming right off. It's not even a lot of pressure I'm putting on here. It's just smooth, 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 smooth. It's beautiful, beautiful edge. Now, after you do that, you're going to notice some excess paper has accumulated on the edges. So to get rid of that, I just do a little of this, a little bit of this. That's going to smooth those right down. You might even want to do this or this. But it's so workable. It's so very workable once it's made. This edge here. Okay, and that's pretty much it. And I think you get it. I think you understand what I'm going for here. And now I have this nice, beautiful base, which I can either paint later. I could actually keep that. I mean, that is so pretty. I love it. I love that color. Or I could even decoupage this. I could cover it with fabric. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Now, nothing has to be perfect when it's handmade. It's part of the charm of hand-making items. So there you go. And if you have any questions or comments, or if you like my video, please hit like. Please leave comments. You might want to check out my other videos on how to cut popsicle sticks. I am still working on a project, which is going to be a box. I have some details I still need to work out on. I haven't quite figured out how to do the lid. I would love to put a hinge on it, but I'm not quite ready to teach you how to do that. So there you have it. Thanks for watching, and have a beautiful day.